Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be going over everything that I read in February, and we're going to start with like some number stats, that kind of stuff, because I am tracking things like that. So I read 7 books. That equals out to 1,571 pages. And then I also listened to 4.51 hours. I only listened to one audiobook in February. I am trying to pull back on the amount of audiobooks I listen to, just because I feel like lately I have not been enjoying books as much when I listen to audiobooks. And so I've been trying to like pull back on that. Let's move on. Our average rating was about a 3.5, so not bad. That kind of seems to be like my normal average, but I am kind of interested now that I'm like tracking it like month to month. I actually do want to see like what my average is from month to month. So now, of those 7 books, 3 of those were arcs. One of them was an arc that came out this month, and then the other ones were old ones. I'm trying to catch up on a bunch of my NetGalley arcs because I have fallen behind on those. So they were NetGalley books that I read. I had the one audiobook, and then 4 of these books were novels, so they were on the longer side. 2 of them were novellas, and one was a short story. And out of all of these books, I only technically own one of them, and that was the short story. And it's an ebook, so I didn't touch anything on my physical shelves, which I thought I did. But I didn't. Because that is something that I'm trying to like work on, is to read down the books that I own. But apparently I did not touch any of the physical books that I own in February. And yes, while I do own the arcs, that's a completely different um, spreadsheet that's being tracked and everything. So it's very different from like my physical owned collection. So I'm not mad that I didn't touch any, but honestly, I thought I did. Like, I genuinely thought I did. And what is it? 2 of them were library books, so at least I wasn't overtaken by library books. It was actually just the fact that most of these were arcs that I was catching up on, so that's at least still good. So, anyways, as for series, I continued a series. I read a 3rd book in that series, which was the Helldivers series by um, Nicholas Tansbury Smith. I've technically read 3 so far because I read the first book, the novella, and like 1.5, and then book 2. So I've read 3 so far. And then I read the 2nd book in the Merlin's Apprentice series by Susan Macaulay. And then I read the first book in Merlin's Isles by Malcolm Geet. So let's go ahead and let's dive into the actual books now. And we're going to start, because I have my little paper here with my information, I actually made sure to list them from lowest rating to highest rating. That way I'm not jumping around all over the place. So coming in at the lowest rating, and honestly my biggest disappointment of the month, and it really sucks because I was looking forward to this book. I got the arc for this one like 6 months in advance, and I decided to wait till it got closer to release date to read it, and that is the Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. I gave this 2 stars. I am really sad about this because the part that like drawed my attention, drew my attention to this book was the tragic love story. One of my favorite things to read are tragic love stories. I just find that they tend to hit so much harder than a book that has a guaranteed happily ever after. And so I was looking forward to that. Not only that, I love werewolves, and I wanted to see like this historical setting about this werewolf of, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but Gavadon. And so I wanted to like see that and everything, but I just feel that overall the execution was very poorly done. I did not believe the love story that was happening between Sebastian and Antoine. It felt more like how the current direction that a lot of romance is right now, where it heavily focuses on the physical connection between characters and doesn't progress outside of that into the deeper connection, the emotional, the mental connection between characters. It's just so much physical related. And so it makes it very hard to believe that these characters are in love with each other, when it tends to come off more as they are lustfully involved with each other. Now, the author doesn't go into like grave details. It's not like a smutty book. A lot of times it's just like, we were physical in the forest and he put me against a tree, and then there's like this weird threesome with a nymph at one point. And so I was just kind of like, where's the emotional connection between these two? Like, I just didn't feel it. So when it came around time for the tragic moment to happen between them, it didn't hit, because you can't have a tragic love story if the love story doesn't feel believable. And so one doesn't work without the other. And so I was very disappointed in that. And then I was also just disappointed with the werewolves in general. I didn't find it interesting. I didn't find the idea to be well executed. I also found the book to be unnecessarily sexually vulgar for some reason. Like, there was just these moments where it was just like, and I'm just gonna give you guys just like a brief thing, so excuse me. We were told like 3 different times when the werewolf was rubbing out a hard-on. What does this have to do with anything? Why? I don't understand what this was for. Like, it just made this like weird, unnecessary sexual vulgarity that I was just like, what is the point of this? And it's not like me being a prude or anything, and it's not like me being like, oh, we can't have sexual things in the books. It was just that it fit nothing in the narrative. And I was like, why are you telling me this? What is the point of this? Like, I don't get this. And then there were these chapters with this character named Livia where I was like, you're annoying. This is distracting. I don't like this. It interrupts the story's flow. I don't care. And then there were footnotes. If there is one thing that I hate in a book, it's footnotes. You hear people argue about the epilogues and the prologues. Footnotes. That is the hill that I will die on, okay? No, footnotes aren't necessary. If it's important to the story, put it in the story. And since I'm on an ebook, the footnotes don't come until the end of the chapter. I'm not flipping to the end of the chapter to read the footnote to then flip back to where I was. I'm not doing that. So overall, I was just very disappointed. I was more so fully, though, disappointed with the tragic love story, because that was the part that I was most interested in. And that's like the biggest selling point. And it just didn't deliver. So 2 stars, unfortunately, for me. And I'm really sad about that, because it was an anticipated read of the year for me. Coming up next at a 2.5 was Warrior Rising by Susan Macaulay. This is the second book in the Merlin's Apprentice series. For this one, I didn't really care for the Norse thing that she threw into it. In the first book, the world is split in half. You have the mundane people who go to live in the ordinary world, and those who have magic get to stay in the magic world. And I really thought the second book was going to focus kind of more on Merlin rebuilding the magic world and trying to repair the damage that had been done, and then maybe dealing with any of Mordred's lackeys that had stuck behind. But instead, the author was like, let's bring in Ragnarsson. And I'm like, okay. And I don't feel like there was any growth with any of the characters. I felt like there was too much going on in such a short story. It's like 190 pages, but it just felt too big for those 190 pages. And again, without any like real character growth, it kind of made it feel like made the book stall a little bit. And I didn't care for that Ragnar half-son thing. Like, I didn't care for the Norse storyline that she like put into it and everything. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed with that. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on to the third one, but that was also another arc that I got. So we'll see. It did take like 2 years for this second one to come out. So I don't know. Then coming in third, we have The Dismembered by Jonathan Janz. This was a 3.5. So this one I found randomly at the library, and I was drawn in by the cover because it has this very like 70s gothic kind of cover, and it like has the tagline lovers in a peril or something like the tagline has love. You'll see the cover here, and so I was thinking this was going to be like a gothic romance with a little bit of horror thrown in, and it does have the horror, definitely goes to town on the horror. The author goes in on that. It gets very gory, very bloody, very graphic. But I definitely feel like the love story portion just kind of falls to the backside, and so that opening tagline on the cover feels a little misleading, and so that was a little frustrating because like I was like, where's the little love story that like appears in here? And like it, while it does, it's not really more so until like the very end. And so I was kind of like, oh, like I thought this was gonna be, because it's like young lovers caught in a nightmare. I think it's something along those lines. And so I was like thinking that like we were gonna like see this like couple go into this nightmare, and that's not what you get. And so it just felt a little misleading. And so I was a little frustrated about that. Book number 4 is Ghosts by Nicholas Sansbury Smith. This is the second book in the Helldivers series, or number 3 if you've read the novella in between. I definitely enjoyed this. I will say some of my enjoyment was a little bit ruined by reading that novella beforehand because it spoils certain aspects of the second book. And so in my opinion, I think you should read the second book before you read the novella. Because of that, I strongly disagree with the author saying, hey, you should read this before you read book 2 because it spoils stuff. And I lost another favorite character. I was like, cool, thanks. That's so great. But it's definitely, it keeps that same really good pace and everything. There's starting to be more things revealed. One of the characters who from the first book who is in this second book definitely has a complete change of character, but it's like you could see like the seeds of it in the first book, and now that this character has a higher position, like you can really see like how that's kind of gone to this character's head, and you're just kind of like, wow, like you are an evil person. So I'm definitely still enjoying the series and looking forward to getting into the next book. I don't know when that will be because I don't have my Kindle Unlimited anymore because it's not in the budget, and my little 3-month for 99 cents ended. So yeah, I don't know when I'll be able to get back to this one, but it is definitely one that I want to keep going with. Up next we have Galahad and the Grail by Michael Geet. This one I gave 4 stars. This is one of the ones where it's a brand new series that I started. It was also an arc, and I want to say I think it came out late last year, or possibly it's this year. I can't quite remember. But it is the story of Galahad and the Grail done in this epic poem style. And the only thing that made it a little frustrating, the only thing that prevented it from getting that 5 stars has to do with the formatting of the ebook, because the stances were broken up in really weird ways that it would ruin the flow as you're reading it, because with it being in the epic poem style, there's a flow that you're able to read it in that it almost kind of has this this not like a song cadence, but it moves at like this cadence where you're like, okay, do 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 do, and so it would do kind of like that, because all of a sudden the stances would be broken up weird, and so like I'd have this lovely rhythm where I'm like da 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 da, and it got a little bit annoying. It got a little frustrating, you know. And I definitely feel like in physical format it would probably be better because those stances wouldn't be broken up in such an odd way. And then the other thing was the fact that it doesn't really feel like Galahad's story. It feels more like Lancelot and Sir Bors and Percival's stories, because the beginning starts out with Galahad going on his journey, and then these other knights being like, hey, we're gonna go with you too. And then the whole middle focuses super heavily on the other knights, and then the ending, it finally kind of goes back to Galahad. And I'm like, I don't care about everybody in the middle. I care about Galahad. I care about Galahad. It's Galahad and the Grail. And while I understand that Lancelot, Bors, and Percival, that their stories interact and meet up with Galahad in the story of the Grail, it just kind of like was kind of a bit of a bummer that so much of it focused on those ones. So that's really like my only complaints with it. Other than that, I think it was very well done. I thought the idea of the epic poem worked beautifully for the Arthurian tales, and I think it definitely fits the vibe. And I do think that the author has a very good way of expressing the story in the epic poem. I just really wish that had been formatted so much better for the ebook so that I wasn't constantly being disrupted by the flow being broken up because of the formatting. So I definitely will be continuing that one. It's supposed to be a 4-book series, and that's the first one in it. So I will be continuing with that one. So I hope the next couple of ebooks will be formatted better. Hopefully. After that, we have Joiner and Rust. This is a short story by Lavi Tidar. I'm a little biased to Lavi Tidar's short stories. I think he is an amazing short story writer. I've read a few of his novels as well, which I think he's good at those too, but I really think he is definitely honed in the corner on short stories, and he just knows how to like perfectly deliver those. And so this one, you follow a little robot, and I love robot stories. Can I just say that too? Like, I just love them. But Joiner and Rust is a story about 2 grieving robots who are reminiscing on the past together, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, I was blown away by the intricacies of it and the world that's created. It has that little bit of humor that Tidar is known for putting into his stories, that he always manages to put into like just the right moments. But he also made this just like one of the most like heartwarming, beautiful stories about grieving, and it's from the point of views of robots, which I found so very fascinating. So I don't want to go too much detail into it because it is a short story, so I would definitely go check it out. I want to say it's on Tor's website for free. I paid the $1.99 on Kindle so I can just own the ebook, but I do believe it's on Tor's website because most of their short stories they have for free on their website. So if you guys want to check it out, check there first. If not, then yeah, go pay the $1.99. It's worth it. And then last but not least is Victorian Psycho by Virginia Fato. So this is one where I did a combination of audiobook. No, is this the one I did the audiobook fully on? Yes, this is the one where I did the full audiobook on because I only did one audiobook. But I did have the ebook as well. But I want to say that I just listened to it all together. This book was crazy. This was my favorite book of the month. Definitely a close run with Joiner and Rust, but this one was my favorite book. This book was insane. I never knew what was gonna happen, and I love that. And on top of that, you're in the mind of a psychotic woman, and I feel like while I'm still like making my way through horror and reading horror books, I feel like a psycho woman is not like it's something that's used often, and homegirl was psycho. Okay, she was absolutely psycho. When you get to the end and you find out why she's doing all of this and the connection to the family that she is the governess for, I was like, oh. And then when you find out her thought process on finding them, I was like, girl, you was just wrecking havoc. You were just wrecking havoc until you found the right family? Like, what? But the only reason it doesn't get that full 5, though, is that there are certain elements in the story that I was like, what's the backstory on that? Like, what? I want answers for that. And so, like, there's just certain elements in the story that the author doesn't give us answers to. And it just kind of, like, builds more of that mystery. But I'm, like, sitting here, like, I want to know. I want to know how she got those. How did she get those? How? Like, and I don't want to say what it is because it's so wild, and it's just one of those books where you just have to take it page for page because you just don't know what the author is going to throw at you. And I was like, the whole time that I'm listening to this, I'm like, what no. And at one point I stopped and I was like, I FaceTimed my best friend and I was like, I need to tell you about this book right now. And I told her about everything that had been happening because I give her spoilers, and she's just like, what are you reading? And I was like, girl, I don't even know, but it's amazing. Like, it was insane. Um, but yeah, but you follow a woman who is a governess to a family, and malicious, horrible things start happening while she's there. And I'm just like, and you're in her head, and you're getting her backstory on top of that. So there's a couple flashback scenes where she talks about her past, but then from there, it's just these very gruesome, horrific things that happen, and you're just like, oh. And some of it, she's like, some of it is planned, some of it is not, and she's just like, oh well. And like the stuff that's not planned, when it happens, she's like, oh well. Anyways, I'll just go along with it. Like, she was the perfect embodiment of just a psycho. Like, I'm actually trying to get a hold of a physical copy because I want this in my collection. Like, I would reread this. Like, I had so much fun. I listened to the whole audiobook. It's only 4.5 hours, so I listened to the whole thing in one setting. And I listened to it while I was sick because I got pretty sick during the beginning of February, and I listened to that just laying in bed, just so I highly recommend reading Victorian Psycho. It'll take you on a trip. It absolutely will. I will say though, as a trigger warning, if the topic of dead babies is an issue for you, I would not recommend it because that is an element that does come up in the story, and I know that that can be a very touchy subject for some people. It is not an issue for me. I have very little triggers when it comes to books, and I know that death around children and around babies is a big one for a lot of people. So if that is something that is an issue for you, I definitely recommend staying away from it. But other than that, if you don't have those kind of triggers, like, give it a go. Give it a go. It's crazy. I will definitely be looking for more books by Virginia Fato because I am so interested. Like, she got me with that one. So that is everything that I read for February. It was definitely a good month. While I did have some letdowns, I did have some highs, and so that is always a good thing. And so I will be looking forward to everything in March. If you guys saw my middle grade March video, I will be reading majority of middle grade books, but I will also try and fit in other stuff. I'm not sure. I will be going out of town at the end of the month, but yeah, so I guess we'll just see what March brings. And I will say, just as a sneak peek, so far my first book that I've read, 5 stars. Okay, so March is off to a good start. But other than that, if you guys have read anything in here, if anything has caught your attention and it sounds interesting, let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe, all of those great things, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.